Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a framework that tries to answer a huge question in education. How do you make a regular school project feel like a genuine, real-world learning experience?
I mean, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? We all remember those projects that felt like we were just, checking boxes to get a grade. But what if an assignment could actually feel like a real challenge? One that forces you to think and plan and create like you would in a real job. Well, that's the exact gap this framework is designed to fill.
You see, the problem often isn't the project itself, it's the design behind it. Just a small shift in how we frame a task can make all the difference in the world. It can take a student from just, getting the work done to actually solving a meaningful problem.
And that's exactly where the GRASPS model comes into play. What's so brilliant about it is that it's a tool with this dual purpose. On one hand, it gives teachers a solid structure for designing these authentic tasks, but at the same time, it gives students a kind of roadmap to become better, more strategic thinkers.
So how does this whole thing actually work? Let's break it down and really see how it creates assessments that don't just test what students know, but fundamentally change how they think.
Okay, so at its core, GRASPS is all about building what's called metacognition, which is really just a fancy way of saying thinking about your own thinking. And it does this by creating tasks that feel real because they actually have a real purpose.
The whole framework is built around a really simple acronym, GRASPS. Each of these letters is a building block in the design, and it's a prompt for the student's thinking. It covers the goal, the student's role, the audience, the situation, the final product, and, of course, the criteria for success.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. We can look at every single one of these components from two different points of view. The teacher who is designing the whole thing and the student who is actually in the thick of it, doing the thinking.
It all kicks off with the goal. The teacher isn't just saying, hey, write a report. They're asking, what's the core idea here that a student needs to show they understand? And that immediately gets the student thinking, okay, what's my plan? How am I actually going to tackle this? It forces them to strategize from the very beginning. Next up, the framework assigns a role. The student gets to step into a specific persona. Maybe they're a museum curator for a day, or a city planner, or a marketing consultant. And this isn't just for fun, right? It forces the student to ask, what does a person in this job actually need to know? What kind of skills and strategies do they use? It moves them way beyond abstract knowledge into applied skill.
From there, we define the audience. Now, instead of just writing for the teacher, the student is creating something for a real group, like a city council, or potential investors, or even visitors at a park. This is such a crucial shift because it forces them to ask, who am I actually trying to persuade here? What do they need to hear from me?
And this question just sums it up perfectly. It takes a student completely out of their own head and forces them to practice genuine empathy. They have to actually consider the perspective and the needs of other people, which, let's be honest, is one of the most fundamental real-world skills you can have.
All right, let's dive into the last three components. This is really where the big picture idea starts to connect with the practical, nitty-gritty details of actually getting the work done.
So the situation provides the context. The teacher sets up a real-world scenario. Maybe it's a local environmental issue, a historical debate, or a business challenge. This immediately gives the whole task real stakes, and it gets the student wondering, okay, why does this actually matter? What's the real-world connection here?
And this is absolutely crucial for the teacher. It's not just about defining what the student needs to create, but why they're creating it. That why is the hook. That's the motivation that turns a boring assignment into a meaningful mission.
So after the why comes the what, the product. This is the concrete thing the student actually makes. A proposal, a prototype, a presentation, you name it. Defining this deliverable immediately shifts them into project management mode. They have to start thinking about specifications, timelines, and action plans.
And finally, we have success. The teacher provides all the evaluation criteria right up front. It's not some secret rubric, it's a roadmap. And this is so empowering for students because they can constantly check in with themselves. Am I on the right track? How is my work stacking up against the criteria? They become active partners in their own evaluation.
And here it is, the whole thing laid out. On one side, you've got the teacher's design focus, and on the other, the student's thinking focus. You can see so clearly how each design choice is meant to trigger a specific thought process. They really do work in perfect parallel. So, what's the ultimate payoff of doing things this way?
This is the crucial point, right?
What really happens when you line up the teacher's design and the student's thinking so perfectly? What's the real benefit of using a framework like this?
This is it. This is the real magic of the framework. It shifts the entire focus away from just grading a final product to making the student's thinking process visible. It's not about getting the right answer. It's about building a strategic, reflective mind that can find any answer.
I mean, just think about what this teaches. The goal teaches planning. The audience teaches empathy. The role teaches strategy. And the success criteria teach self-evaluation. The project itself just becomes a vehicle for developing these skills that will last a lifetime, long after the grade is totally forgotten.
And that's really the thought I want to leave you with. In the end, what is the true purpose of an assessment? Is it just to measure a final output, or is it to understand and, maybe more importantly, to build the thinking process that got them there? The GRASPS model suggests it should always be the latter.